talking about love, the problem or the challenge we have with the ego, through the ego, is that the ego does not recognize love. It doesn't. It hasn't got a clue what love is. All right? Yet, it seeks it everywhere. It's looking for it everywhere. Yeah? So, the ego has no idea how to give love. Wouldn't have a clue. And furthermore, and it took us years to realize this too, is the ego doesn't even know how to receive it. It doesn't know how to receive it. So we're really in a bind until such time as we're prepared to relinquish the blocks to the awareness of love's presence. Okay? I know it sounds depressing, but I have to be honest and just say this. It's true. I mean, we went through years of this, of studying the Course, didn't we?
Well,
right?
trying
Before
to
we
get
really
love,
got it on
trying
our
to
soul
get,
level.
that was the key there,
Yeah.
trying to get love.
Trying to get love.
And
Right.
then having to unmask that and see that behind all our attempts was this sense of deprivation. So, and then having to own up that, well, actually, I don't love you. Actually, I haven't got a clue what it is. Wouldn't know what it was if it fell on me. You know, to get to that point first. Because we all want love, as Nouk said, and from the second our eyes open, that's what we're craving, right? Instead, what we learned to do, most of us, is dance. You know what I mean? We learned to perform. We wanted love, but we learned instead how to perform. What will get me a hug? I don't care how it's manufactured as long as it gets me a hug. See? In the end, because that's what we want. So it's like, well, this set of behaviors will get me a hug, possibly a kiss, and I might even get fed. This one, I'm going to get smacked. So we're just learning to dance. That has nothing to do with the acceptance of who we are. And of course it makes sense, right? Because we were all born to fully fledged ego parents too, who had the veil across their eyes as well, right? Who were living out of projection themselves in the name of love. Isn't that an interesting one? In the name of love, right? And when I look back at how I used to chastise and give Ricky such a hard time about doing homework, because this is important, because your education is everything. You know, now I look back and go, man, what an ass. What's that got to do with anything that was real? Nothing. Nothing. Nothing of value. What it was my projection from my fears. So that projection disabled me from seeing her, totally seeing her at all. All I saw was, and then the beautiful part is, you know, like flogging a child within an inch of its life because you love it. This is for your good. It hurts me much more than it hurts you. You know, that kind of thinking, right? And it's all that stuff that needs to be looked at, yes.
I'm looking at my whole life.
It's all been thinking, and not much love. Only rare glimpses of real love. You can't stop them all the time. Every once in a while you let your guard down and you really have love, and it just happens, you know. It might be it's usually terrible suffering brings along something like that, where you just quit, all right, end the argument. But it's mostly thinking, and that's part of this learning how to act, all right? Like the monkey, the organ grinder, the monkey does the dance, and, you know, well, that's what we learn to be, you know. And it was started with school, start pleasing parents, please grandparents, please teachers, think, you know. Okay.
Yep.
But
That's right. Yep. Can I just give you some good news?
That would be good.
This is the 6 stages of the development of trust in the Manual for Teachers in A Course in Miracles. The first 2 stages are the most difficult. That's in our experience, the first 2 stages, okay? Because it's the onset of a collision of 2 completely opposite thought systems, right? Realizing that the I that we think we are is the ego. then we realize, my God, then the will to do everything I do comes from the ego, which it comes from fear and deprivation, right? So then we start to wake up and we think, okay, we've got to, what we want to do is we want to surrender our will to the Holy Spirit. But there's tremendous conflict in those first two stages, right? For most of us. Some of us are lucky and get away without much conflict at all, but there are not many of those. So it's those first two stages that we go through, and then we go through a period of relinquishment here, where it is that we learn, that's when we start to really get some traction as far as the development of trust in the Holy Spirit, rather than trust in the ego. And that's when we see that some things that we valued prior to this have no value at all. In fact, they are downright destructive. We see it. And we're very happy to relinquish those things that have been blocking us from truly, truly embracing love fully and receiving it and giving it. Yeah? And then we go into a little stage here of settling down. And this is where we get a bit of a rest here. And we consolidate all of what we've learned. And here is this word unsettling here, because it is here that we get to reevaluate. We get a chance to actually go through some of the tests that were presented to us in the first stages of the development of trust, but without the emotional sting or slap involved. The emotion's not there anymore. You get your buttons pushed, but you don't take it personally, right? And what a wonderful freedom and liberation that is, to not take anything personally. It's just so wonderful. You still maintain your individuality, but you don't take anything personally. You're able to forgive pretty much within the first few minutes that that the conflict arises. And it's through here that we consolidate what it is that we're unlearning. We're willingly giving it up and surrendering it to the Holy Spirit fully. And it's in this area here, of unsettling, this stage here, where we really do get to experience quite a few miracles. We really see it. And by the stage 5, we're trusting the Holy Spirit more than we're really trusting our own will. Okay? And stage 6, which is achievement, which is where really we are the will of God. We realize we are Holy Spirit's will. And it's in this particular stage where we don't experience conflict anymore. It's just wonderful love. It's just fantastic. We'll talk more about this over the next 4 days.